everybody, this is Tina from Two Chicks and a Cricket, and Wendy's with us tonight on Skype. We finally were able to find some time to Skype together, so I thought it would be really fun to shoot a video for, this will be our last video for Simple Scrapbook Sunday. So Wendy's going to share some tips with us on the subject that we're going to be looking at. So today I'm going to be talking about cropping your photos, and I know we haven't talked a lot about your the photo portion of your scrapbook pages. I kind of jumped around in this series. So the first thing is I think everybody gets their pictures developed differently. I tend to get only what I'm going to scrapbook developed, and then I save all my other pictures just on my computer and I back them up. So when I first started scrapbooking, I would only get printed what I was going to scrapbook, and then I would delete everything off my memory cards. So I don't have, like, the first 6 months that my husband and I dated, I don't have any of those photos because just what's in my scrapbook. So I wouldn't suggest that. So if you're going to cut up a photo, it would be in your best interest to have a copy somewhere. Either get two printed or save one on your computer. And Wendy, how do you do yours?
I print all of my pictures. And then the ones, I keep them on my computer. And the ones I don't use to scrapbook with, I save for other projects throughout the year. For, like, calendars that I do.
That's a good idea.
Year. Or for, like, a card, if I want to send a card to my dad in Wyoming and put a picture of my daughter in it. And I just put them all in a box and just write photos on the box. And when it gets really full, I just put it under the house.
Nice.
So,
I guess I tend to do the same thing. The ones I do have a chunk from this year that are, like, for other projects. So I just wouldn't cut up if it's the only photo you have. I wouldn't chop it up because later you might regret it.
if it is a photo that you can't get again, like an old family photo, you can either take it to a place that can recreate it for you, like give you a copy of it, or you can, if you have a scanner at home, you can scan it in yourself to your computer so you have an electronic copy of it and you could send it off to be printed.
Yeah, that's a good idea. When I was back at my grandma's this last summer, I took a bunch of pictures from her so I could scan them into my computer, like her wedding pictures and stuff. So I would have a copy of them. So that's a good idea. So I'm going to start, the first thing I'm going to do is this layout is for, I'm just going to hang it up in my scrapbook room. It's not for a book or anything. So I just have this piece of basil. It is brandy wine, which is a really pretty color. I like having this on hand. I use it a lot. And it's just a 6.5. It's just a piece. Just using one piece of pattern paper, and then I'm using some solid colors to do some mounting of my photos. Okay, that's better. A little higher than I wanted, but we'll work with it. So these are just some items that I stamped, and I just used my watercolor crayons to color in my stamps. I have this picture that has a lot of wasted space in it, and Wendy has taken photography classes, and so she knows a little bit about taking pictures and cropping them, and she's laughing. That's why I'm nervous. So she's going to talk a little bit about cropping your pictures and maybe give you some tips on how best to do that.
Yeah, so I own my own photography business and do weddings and stuff, and the rules that apply to taking great photos apply to great scrapbooking. It's all the same. First of all, something to remember is the rule of thirds. If you imagine an image, like a picture, cut up into thirds, going long ways and short ways, like a tic-tac-toe pattern on top of your picture. When you're taking a photo, if you always try to aim so that an eye or a person's face is at the cross section of a tic-tac-toe. So like, the upper corner, it just draws more to your images. So a lot of times people tend to take photos and leave lots of space above the head, which is not desirable. You would want to leave a small space above the head. So when you're cropping your photo, you would want to, if you've got a picture where there's a bunch of space above the head, it would be ideal to cut some of that space off to bring the focus to the face more, or bring the focus to the object.
So that's what I just did. When I was trimming this photo, if you noticed, there was a ton of space above Kayla's head where the window was, and there was all that stuff sitting in the window, so I just trimmed it down to meet her head.
And the other thing, that is really important for cropping is whatever direction your subject is facing is where you want to leave more space. So if a great example for this would be if you take a picture of a horse running, you want to leave space. If you've got a bunch of space on each side of the horse and the horse is directly in the middle of your photo, but you want to get rid of some of the photo and crop it, you're going to want to crop the portion in the back of the horse and leave the portion in front of the horse, because that is the direction of travel. So whatever direction a person is facing, an animal is moving, that is where you want to leave more space, because you're trying to show that the person was looking in a certain direction, or an animal or a person was traveling into a certain direction. If you cut it off in front of their face and they're facing a certain direction, it kind of looks like you took a bad picture, or that you just cut off the ground in front of them. So always try to remember to leave a little bit of space in front of your object depending on which way it is facing. And when you apply that to scrapbooking and you put it on a page, a good tip is, if you have a double-sided layout, you want to try to face your pictures so that the face of the person is facing into the scrapbook.
So like this picture right,
looking off the edge.
Right. So this picture right here, Kayla's head, the way her head is, especially if this was a double-sided page, you would not want to put your picture of her looking this way on the other side of your page. You want this picture looking to your other page. And like this one, if I was using two sides, I would put this one on the other side. And then that draws your eye inward instead of on the edge, like Wendy just said.
And then the last tip I would have for cropping is that our eye is drawn to light naturally. So if you have a picture you've taken outside or in an area that there's a lot of light, and you've taken a picture of a group of people or a person, and around them is all this bright light, like a sky that is really bright, I would encourage, before even printing the photo, darkening the edges of it. If you're familiar with any sort of photo editing programs, if you want to use the whole photo. If you don't want to use the photo, again, I would trim off some of that white so that your eye doesn't leave the photo, and it will focus more in on the picture and the person that's in the photo, rather than your eye leaving the actual moment that you tried to capture. So those are my tips for cropping pictures, and you can apply those into your camera as well when you're looking through your viewfinder in your camera. If you kind of start learning to think about those things, the rule of thirds is a big one, and capturing your subject so that whatever they're looking at or whatever they're moving towards has more in front of them, and just trying to move that camera up a little so that the head isn't, halfway down in a photo.
So with cropping, some people are real, like accurate with their pictures, and they, if a picture is 4 by 6, then they, you know, will take and mount their picture on another piece of paper that is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. That would be Wendy, she said. I tend to just, you know, I just crop my picture how I want it. And like I wanted these 3 pictures to fit in here. So I cropped them down. And I'm just going to place them on the paper that I want to use. And I just glue it down. And when you're mounting your pictures on other colors, what you're just trying to do is you're trying to give your picture some foundation. Wendy taught me this actually, to double mount your pictures. Like you can make a photo larger you can fill up more of a space if you double mount them. Here I've made this picture slightly larger by mounting it twice. And it gives your page, like I just tied in that color. So I have my journaling, that's going to go right under that. And then I also, while Wendy was talking, I put these circles down and I mounted these on, you know, pop dots. We all love pop dots. And that also gives your page some depth because it will, you know, when the light hits it when you're looking at it, will create shadows. That is our basic scrapbook for today. It's just a very simple layout. It's one-sided, just a 12 by 12 piece of... So we hope you enjoyed our tips, and leave us a comment and let us know. This will be the last video for this series, and we'll come up with another series to do, and then after the first of the year we'll probably do some advanced scrapbooking. So thanks guys for stopping by. We'll talk to you later.